All right, so we're back and ready for another deep dive. You ready to jump in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so this time we're taking a look at all the latest AI happenings from, the usual suspects, Twitter, Reddit, and all those Discord channels.
That's a lot to keep up with.
It really is. Honestly, just going through all of this stuff took me like almost 400 minutes of reading.
Wow. Yeah,
So think of this as us saving you guys a ton of time.
exactly. We've distilled it down to the most important and exciting stuff, the things that you really need to know about.
For sure. So I think a good place to start is with hardware because, everyone's always talking about how AI software is getting better and better, but the hardware is changing incredibly fast too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of what's driving these advancements in AI.
Exactly. Like Epoch, our research found that AI hardware performance is doubling every 2.3 years, which is insane when you think about it.
Yeah, that's even faster than Moore's Law,
Hmm.
which, for a long time was like the gold standard for measuring technological progress.
Right. And what this means is that we can train these increasingly complex AI models way faster than we ever could before.
Exactly. It's like a whole new world of possibilities is opening up.
Okay, so speaking of speed, I have to bring up Tesla because they're building this massive cluster of 50,000 H100 GPUs.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
That's huge. Like, analysts are predicting that it could train a GPT-4-sized model in less than 3 weeks.
3 weeks. It's just mind-blowing,
It
right?
really is. Like, that kind of power could completely change the game in terms of what we can do with AI. I mean, just think about the new models and applications that could be developed with that kind of speed. It's exciting.
It's absolutely wild, but it's not all about brute force, right? There are also these really clever hardware solutions coming out,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
like Cerebra Systems with their wafer-scale AI chip. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, they just set a world record for language model inference speed, over 2,000 output tokens per second on a Llama 3.170V model.
That's incredible. I can barely type that fast.
Right. It's amazing. And this kind of speed opens up a whole bunch of possibilities for real-time AI applications, things like chatbots, translation, anything that needs to happen really, really fast.
And this is just the beginning, right? Like, I can't even imagine what AI hardware is going to look like in 5 or 10 years.
It's hard to even fathom,
Yeah.
but it's going to be amazing for sure.
Okay, so we've got all this amazing hardware, but it needs amazing new models to run on.
You got it. And there's no shortage of those, that's for sure.
No shortage at all. So where should we start? Maybe with image generation, because, that's something that a lot of people are really excited about.
Good place to start. So Stability AI just released Stable Diffusion 3.5, and there's already a turbo version out.
Yeah, I saw some people playing around with those online. They look pretty impressive.
Yeah, the early results are pretty promising. Like, people are saying it's a big step up from SDXL.
Nice. And I love how these models are available on Image Arena. Users can actually vote on the quality of the outputs from different models.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. It's a great example of how the AI community is really driving this field forward.
Okay, so what about language models? Anything new and exciting happening there?
Oh, tons. One of the biggest things that caught my eye was that researchers were able to run a Llama 3.1 405B model on just 8 H200 GPUs.
8. I thought those giant models needed like entire data centers to run.
Right. You'd think so.
Yeah.
But they found this way to run it without the usual network overhead like InfiniBand or Ethernet.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that sounds super technical.
Yeah, it is.
Hmm.
But what's important is that it shows that you might not need a crazy expensive setup to run these massive models in the future.
Okay, so that could open up a lot of possibilities for smaller research teams or even individuals, right?
Yeah, exactly. More access for everyone.
Love it. So what else is happening in the world of language models?
Well, Cohere just released their new Aya Expanse models. They're multilingual and cover something like 23 languages, which is pretty impressive.
Oh, wow, and they're available on Hugging Face, right?
Yep. So anyone can try them out, which is fantastic for accessibility.
Totally. It's great to see more and more AI tools becoming available to a wider audience.
Agreed. The more people can experiment with these tools, the more innovation we'll see.
Okay, so now we need to talk about the tools that people are building using these models. LangChain is like the big one, right?
Oh yeah, LangChain is huge. Did you know that over 130,000 apps are powered by it?
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. And it's been downloaded over 130 million times.
That's incredible. It's only been around for 2 years, right?
Yep, just 2 years. It's really become a foundational tool in the AI development world.
Okay, so for anyone who's not familiar, can you explain what LangChain is and what it does?
Sure. It basically allows developers to chain together different AI models and tools so they can build more complex applications without having to start from scratch every time.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So it's kind of like a toolbox for AI developers.
Exactly. And it
Yeah.
just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
They recently launched some new features like Langsmith and LangGraph. What are those for? Langsmith is for testing LLMs, and LangGraph is for building AI agents, which are getting more and more sophisticated, by the way.
I bet. Okay, so we've got tools for developers, but what about everyone else? Anything cool for the non-coders out there?
Absolutely. Perplexity AI just released a Mac app, which you can get on the Mac App Store.
Nice. Is it any good?
It seems pretty cool. It has keyboard shortcuts, voice commands, and you can even upload files.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah, I think it could be really useful for anyone who uses Perplexity regularly.
For sure. And then there's Anthropic with their new computer use API. Now, this one is kind of wild. It basically lets their Claude model interact with computers, like as a human.
Yeah, it's pretty groundbreaking, I know.
Yeah.
It's like they're blurring the lines between what humans can do and what AI can do.
So can Claude like automate tasks and analyze data and stuff?
Oh yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
It can even create interactive visualizations.
Wow. That's amazing. So it's like you wouldn't even need to know how to code to do all these things anymore.
Well, maybe not everything. Yeah. But it definitely has the potential to change how we interact with computers in a pretty fundamental way.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got AI getting more powerful, more accessible, and more integrated into our lives every day. It's pretty exciting.
It is. And as we go forward, I think it's important to take a look at how all of these advancements are impacting the AI landscape as a whole.
Yeah, good point. What about companies like Meta and Snowflake and Google? What are they up to?
Well, Meta just released these quantized versions of their Llama 3.2, 1B, and 3B models.
Now, remind me what quantized means again?
Sure. It basically means they've reduced the size of the models without losing too much accuracy.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like compressing a file. You make it smaller, but it still has all the important information.
Exactly. And by doing that, they were able to get a 4x speed increase and a 56% size reduction.
Nice. That's a pretty big deal, right? Especially for running AI on smaller devices.
Huge deal. Think about it.
Yeah.
Powerful AI in your phone that doesn't drain your battery.
Sign me up. Okay, what about other companies? What are they doing?
Well, Snowflake and ServiceNow announced a big partnership. They're creating this bidirectional data sharing integration between their platforms.
Oh, wow. That sounds really useful for anyone working with big data sets.
It is.
Yeah.
And they're also introducing something called Cortex AI, which lets you query data using natural language.
Oh, that's cool. So you don't have to write all those complicated queries anymore.
Exactly. Just ask your question in plain English,
Yeah.
and Cortex AI will figure out the rest.
Amazing. And then there's Google DeepMind. They've been busy with their music AI project.
Oh, yeah. Music FX DJ and Music AI Sandbox. Those are pretty mind-blowing tools.
I know. I saw some demos online. They can generate musical loops, transform sounds, and even do things like in painting for music.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's like AI is breaking into the creative world in a big way.
Okay, so we've talked about the big companies, but what about the little guys? What's happening with those less resource-intensive models?
Well, there's been a lot of buzz on Reddit about Gemma 227B. It's becoming known as one of the top performers for single GPU inference.
So you could potentially run this on a gaming PC.
Potentially, yeah. It's really opening up possibilities for people who don't have access to those huge data centers.
That's awesome. And what about Q 2.5 and Llama 3.2? I saw some people comparing those.
Yeah, there's been a lot of back and forth about which one is better. It seems like they each have their own strengths and weaknesses.
So, like with most things in AI, there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Pretty much.
Huh.
You really got to choose the right tool for the job.
Makes sense. And for anyone who's looking for those smaller, more efficient models, the Hugging Face GPU Poor Leaderboard is a great resource.
It is. They rank models specifically designed to run on less powerful hardware.
Okay, so to recap, we've seen some incredible advancements in AI hardware. We've got these amazing new models, both big and small, and we've got all these cool tools that are making AI more accessible and easier to use.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, and I
Yeah.
think it's important to remember that all of this is happening within a larger context.
You're right. Like, there's this whole conversation happening about open source AI versus the big corporations that are investing heavily in this space.
Yeah, and that's something that we're going to dive into in the next part of our deep dive, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so we're back and ready to dig a little deeper into this whole open source AI versus big corporations thing.
Yeah, it's a fascinating topic, and it's something that's being discussed a lot in the AI community right now.
Totally. So to start things off, maybe we can talk about what some of these big companies like OpenAI are doing.
Sure. OpenAI, for example, just announced these things called Simplified Consistency Models, or SCMs.
SCMs. Okay, I gotta be honest, that sounds pretty technical. Can you break it down for us non-AI experts?
Of course. Basically, think of them as a new type of model architecture that's designed for better stability and scalability during training, so it could help them create even more powerful models.
Okay. So is this good news or bad news?
Well, that's where the debate comes in. Some people are really excited about the potential for, groundbreaking advancements. But then there are others who are worried about what this could mean for open source AI development.
I see. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword.
Exactly. And then you have things like the SB 1047 bill, which is adding even more fuel to the fire.
Oh, yeah, I saw some people talking about that online. What's the deal with that bill?
Well, it's a proposed law that some people are saying could actually hinder open source development and end up benefiting large companies.
So potentially less innovation from independent researchers and smaller companies.
That's one of the concerns, yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a complex issue, and it's sparked a lot of debate.
Definitely. It's a good reminder that, all of this AI development isn't happening in a vacuum. There's this whole ecosystem of companies, researchers, and even policymakers who all have a role to play.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we as users of AI, we're part of that ecosystem too.
Yeah.
It's important to be aware of these conversations and to think about how they might shape the future of the AI tools that we all use.
Yeah, for sure. So while all this debate is going on, there are still some amazing new AI tools and applications being developed.
Right. It's like every day there's something new and exciting to check out.
I know. It's hard to keep up. So what's caught your eye lately?
Well, one of the things that's been making waves is 11 Labs' new voice design technology.
Oh, yeah. The one that can create those super realistic voices from like just a text description.
That's the one. And it's pretty mind-blowing, right? Like, people are already thinking about all the possibilities for audiobooks, games, you name it.
I know. It seems like science fiction is becoming reality.
It really does, and it's not just voices either. There was also that news about that new Android with, like, super realistic artificial muscles. Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So we've got AI creating music, writing code, controlling computers, and now building robots with muscles. What's next?
Right. I mean, it's incredible to think about how far we've come in just a few years.
Yeah.
But it's also important to think about the implications of all of this.
Yeah, for sure. Like with all this power comes a lot of responsibility, right?
Exactly. And there's been a lot of discussion online about things like AI censorship and the potential for misuse.
Yeah, those are definitely things that we need to be thinking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And thankfully, a lot of smart people are working on these issues and trying to figure out how to make sure that AI is used ethically and responsibly.
That's good to hear. Speaking of putting AI to good use, I've seen a lot of cool stuff about using it to like streamline workflows and boost productivity.
Oh, yeah. There's some really interesting tools out there.
Yeah.
One that I saw recently is called the Lindy AI Agent.
Oh, what's that?
It's basically like having a personal assistant that preps you for meetings.
Really? How does it work?
It pulls information from LinkedIn profiles and your recent emails to create a briefing for you 30 minutes before each meeting. So you don't have to scramble to catch up on someone's background or, remember what you talked about last time.
That's amazing. Sign me up.
I know, right? It's so convenient. And then there's Microsoft. They're working on something called OmniParser. OmniParser. It might sound complicated, but it's actually a really cool idea. Basically, it can take screenshots of a user interface and turn them into structured data that large language models can understand.
Wait, so AI can actually understand what's happening on a screen just from a picture?
Yep. And that opens up a lot of possibilities for, like, LLM-based UI agents that can actually interact with websites and applications for you.
Wow. So, like, you wouldn't even have to click or type anything. Your AI assistant could just do it all for you?
Exactly. I mean, we're not quite there yet, but that's definitely the direction things are heading in.
That's pretty wild. It seems like everything's moving so fast.
It really is.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that AI can be used for more than just, efficiency and automation.
Oh, absolutely. Like, what about those more human-centered applications?
Yeah, there's some really cool ones out there. For example, there's a project called Gift Genie, which won a hackathon recently.
Oh, what's that one?
It helps you brainstorm gift ideas for people. But instead of just giving you like a generic list, it actually encourages you to have a conversation about the person you're buying for, what they're interested in, and what would really make them happy.
Oh, that's sweet. So it's using AI to, like, facilitate human connection and thoughtfulness, not just to sell you more stuff.
Exactly. It's a nice reminder that AI can be used for good.
Definitely. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've
Hmm.
talked about some amazing advancements, exciting applications, and some of the potential challenges that come with all of this.
It's been a great discussion.
It has, but we're not done yet. There's still so much more to explore.
That's right. We still got some big questions to tackle and some deeper dives to take.
So stay tuned for the final part of our AI Odyssey. Okay, so we're back for the final part of our AI adventure.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It really has. We've seen all these incredible advancements from huge AI clusters to AI that can create music and even control computers.
Right. It's like we're living in the future.
It definitely feels that way. But now it's time to step back and think about some of the bigger questions that come with all of this.
Absolutely. We can't just get caught up in the excitement of the new technology. We have to consider the potential challenges and risks, too.
Exactly. And one of the biggest topics that's been popping up online is this whole idea of AI censorship. Like the Hermes 3 situation really got people talking.
Yeah, that was a big one. There's a lot of debate about whether those limitations are due to, like, actual censorship by the developers or just, biases that are baked into the model.
Yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes. Like some people say it's all about how you prompt the AI. If you phrase your questions in a certain way, you can get it to say pretty much anything.
Right, right. But then others are saying, no, there are definitely hard limits no matter how clever you are with your prompts. And that raises the question of who gets to decide where those limits are.
Yeah, that's a big one. Is it the developers, the government, society as a whole? It's a really complex issue.
It is. And it's something that we're going to have to figure out as a society as AI becomes more powerful and more integrated into our lives.
For sure. It's not just censorship either. There's also the potential for AI to be misused, right? Like, what happens if someone decides to use these tools to create deepfakes or spread misinformation or even build autonomous weapons?
Those are some scary possibilities.
hmm
And it's definitely something that we need to be thinking about.
Yeah, it's easy to get excited about all the cool things that AI can do, but we can't ignore the potential downsides.
For sure. And that's why these conversations are so important. We need to be talking about these issues, asking tough questions, and demanding transparency and accountability from the people who are developing these technologies.
Absolutely. So I guess the question is, what can we do about it? Like, as individuals, how can we help ensure that AI is used for good?
Well, I think awareness is a big part of it. Educating ourselves and others about the potential benefits and risks of AI, and engaging in these discussions, not just online, but in our communities and with our elected officials.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, to wrap things up, this deep dive has taken us on quite a journey. We've seen the incredible potential of AI, the amazing things that it can do, and the challenges that we need to address as a society.
It's been a wild ride.
It really has. But I think it's important to remember that AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It's up to us to decide how we want to use it.
That's a great way to put it. And I think the best thing we can do is to stay informed, stay engaged, and keep asking those tough questions.
Couldn't agree more. So, to all you deep divers out there, thanks for joining us on this AI adventure. Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with this incredible technology.
Until next time.